You know, in a very roundabout way, this channel would not exist. I would not be on YouTube in this way without these two figures here. Let's talk about why. The figures before you are the G1 Minibots, Beachcomber, and Warpath. That is my original 1985 Beachcomber. Warpath is the 2019 Walmart reissue of the Minibots. And the reason I have these two is because Beachcomber and Warpath are core to my fandom. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I would become a Transformers fan. And the reason for that is because of something called Transformers Mosaic. This would have been around 2008, 2009. It would have been before Revenge of the Fallen, but after the first movie. And I think before animated, or at the very least before I had been able to see animated. I knew I liked Transformers. I was starting to watch the Armada cartoon. I had a few of the toys. But Transformers was not my main thing yet. At that point, my main thing was still a little bit of Superman, Star Wars, maybe Pokemon. But then, you're going to have to forgive me because I don't remember which comic it was. It was either Devastation issue like 6 or 7, the one that has Ratchet run away from Six Shot, or it was Spotlight Mirage. But I got those two comic books from a comic shop called Galaxy Quest, and I remember reading to the back a one-page story about Beachcomber and Warpath where they're sitting on a hill and Warpath asks Beachcomber why he fights if he doesn't like fighting. And Beachcomber says he does it because he hates fighting more than anything else, and the only way to end fighting for good is if he does this thing now to protect future generations. And that was the first time I thought of the robots as not just being big dumb robots that fight each other, but as being people, having personalities, being friends. And I really loved Beachcomber and Warpath. I didn't know who Warpath was at that point. I actually thought that Warpath was like Beachcomber's girlfriend. The way he was drawn in the Mosaic, he had a very feminine face, at least to my eye. So I assumed it was a case where Beachcomber and Warpath were like, boyfriend-girlfriend. And even though that's not who they are, I remember at the time thinking, how amazing is that these two robots love each other? And I do think that at the very least Beachcomber and Warpath are friends, so yes, they love each other, despite one being a tank that loves fighting, and one being a dune buggy that hates fighting, and they're both fighting in this war together, and Beachcomber loves it, or rather, Beachcomber hates it, but Warpath loves it. I remember thinking that there was such beauty in that one little comic. And that's why I'm so happy to have the G1 figures of these two standing next to each other today. Beachcomber and Warpath are not complicated figures. Beachcomber is a beautiful looking G1 Minibot. You can see that he looks exactly like his cartoon design basically. You have swivels in his shoulders and you can bend at the knee because of the transformation. You can even get him to nod a little bit if you want. As for Warpath, he does have swivels in his arms, but they look very strange. You can get him to go back and forth at his feet, and you can swivel the turret so he can look side to side. You can also get him to nod a little bit if you want. Warpath is definitely the weaker looking, but I think that there's still a great appearance here, especially if you look at it straight on and get the shoulders just right. He's a very powerful looking Minibot. And, again, I'm not a fan fiction writer. I'm not an AU person. I don't have OCs. But there is a small part of me that, if I were to ever write a Transformers story, I would make Warpath a woman, and I would have Beachcomber and Warpath be, maybe not a couple, but at the very least, really close friends, because I thought these stories I came up with as a kid for these characters I didn't really understand or know meant so much to me and my playing then. That's the reason why I tracked down a Generations Warpath. That's the reason why my movie Landmine became a stand-in for Beachcomber. It's because of how much I liked that little story. Why don't we talk transformations? So Beachcomber is very simple. You're going to flip over the legs, you're going to push in the arms, and then you're going to flip down the head. You get a very nice little dune buggy. Perfect. As for Warpath, it's a very similar process. You're going to lie him down, and then you're going to squeeze his arms in, push him up, and then boop, push the turret, and then push down the head. You then get to go back and forth. Be very careful. This turret can be very fragile. I also want to point this out. So I got this guy for $3. The reason I got Warpath for $3 is whoever had him before me ripped out his wheels. He'd be able to usually, like, you know, go back and forth, but ripping out the wheels means that he is a little rock now. But God, those two look good together. Two of my favorite mini-bots. Throw Cosmos in here and you got all three of my favorites. And I think that they just look great together. I like Warpath and Beachcomber as a duo. I like the stories that the Mosaic inspired in me. I like these toys. And I'm very happy that I get to have them together now. It means a lot to kind of have this small part of my childhood fully represented. I really need to get Kingdom Warpath and Legacy Beachcomber, if for no other reason than to have a spot on my display where they can be sitting back to back as if they were still on top of that big grassy hill. It's those little moments, man. It's those little moments that make you a fan, that make you want to stick with a franchise like this. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.